about the hung parliament is that it is going to create a period of continued uncertainty, because with no clear mandate as to how the government are going to deal with the debt, the extent of any fiscal pressure we get, people are not quite sure what's going to happen to the GDP forecast, the occupational market and what have you. Therefore, we think that with continued uncertainty, there's going to be obviously a continued degree of caution by investors. And that means investors are going to look, we think, for relatively more conservative or less risky asset classes. That therefore means they will, we think, continue to look at UK real estate amongst other sorts of such assets, which means generally we think institutional demand is going to be quite good. I think the other thing that we need to bear in mind is what this might mean for monetary policy, because obviously the Bank of England, while it is independent, is clearly going to be looking to understand what the fiscal side of the economy is going to be doing and how they might move at short interest rates or not. And the longer that short interest rates remain on hold, then obviously there is a large yield gap or arbitrage and financing gap between property, which is quite attractive. The third component of that is actually what happens to sterling. There's been a lot of overseas investors coming into the UK on sterling weakness. Dare I say it, overnight we've seen a degree of further sterling weakness on the uncertainty, and that may yet just continue to add a little bit of impetus from that side of the equation.
So bad news for UK business overall, but actually quite good news for commercial property investors?
I'm not sure it's necessarily bad news for UK business. I think it's just uncertainty for UK business. The expectation of a hung parliament, I think, was pretty much out there in the markets. And most people have been talking about it for some time, so it's not as if it's a surprise. What I think business, the economy, investors want, though, is to get some clarity about who is going to be taking the country in which direction. There's been a lot of debate over the election about how we deal with the fiscal deficit and how we repay it, and there are different political approaches to that, and that still remains in the balance.